the water we drink today is something that we borrow from our grandchildren.
Hi, I'm Dr. D.
And hi, I'm Princess Gaia.
Hello.
Hi.
I am associate professor from Denmark called Mogens Sparre.
Mogens, we are really excited to have you today. And before you give your presentation, we were wondering, could you just give us a little bit of your personal and professional background?
Yeah, I'm actually educated as a blacksmith and worked as such for many years. And then I get unemployed and start to school again. And then I actually discovered that I was not so stupid, so that they told me in my standard school. So actually I get a lot of success studying a process from blacksmith to academic. And in 2016, I actually take a PhD in organization, culture, and management. I'm from a time when they're in the primary school, when we get 14 or 15 years, they divided all the children to two parts: the one with the talented and not so talented. And I have never went to gymnasium. I have never got an what called gymnasium exam, and that was in the old days. That was the ticket to go to university. When I teach the young people today, I said to them, "Don't cry because you didn't get the right grade, because you can still be whatever you want." It was actually Judy who actually disturbed my way of thinking, because she said something about living condition and all that stuff. And actually I went up to that. I see a lot of economics talk about water and conservation and optimizing and earning more and more money and getting more and more effective. And then I think it's a wrong way to treat water, because water is not a resource. And actually that is, the clean water is a living condition. And exactly like the air, it belongs to the people. When we talk about water, what is water and what is clean water? And water is a lot of things. We have to be more precise to how do we organize and what is water and how is a cooperative is not just a cooperative. There's many different ways of how a cooperative can be. So that is something that I want to talk a little bit about, those two things. That's my main thing. When we talk about this clean water, we talk about tap water, chemical clean, mechanical clean, natural groundwater. Water is so many things. And I try to make graduate the water. I have a purity up in the one axe and all the stuff that we could put into water in the other axe. And then I get a lot of different kind of water: sewage water, treated boil water, chemical water, lake or sea water, natural underground, chemical, and mechanical clean, and distilled water. It is water, all of it, but it is different kind of purity and different kind of usefulness. So I have this line here: what living creatures can drink and what living creatures cannot drink. We have to be more precise when we talk about water. Some kind of grade of water. High class water is we don't want to drink distilled water, and we don't clean. Natural groundwater has salts and the stuff that we actually can taste good water. So that is also what do we define for good water. And the technology have shown that what we call clean water today is contaminated water tomorrow, because we get new way of measuring it. And I'll try to show something about that also. We have actually in our plant for many, many years profited and saying that, and we have a story that the water up here is finest, one of the finest in Denmark. Everyone come up from all over the country, come up on holiday. Oh, this water up here is very, very good. And they actually believe it's good, and it is good. But for 2 years ago, we discovered that there was something in that water, so it should not be there. And we call it DMS. I can actually not say the right word for it. It is dimethylsulfidpyrimide. I cannot say that word. But it's something that it's a stuff coming from the pesticides you use to restore tree. And that is very near in the surface in our ground, and then we can suck it into our water. We actually have tried in Denmark in 1,565 out of 6,300 water wells, they actually found this stuff. So it's quite huge. In 481 of those wells, in that survey, it was over the limit that we want to have in that water. So it actually coming from the mushroom fight that is fluoride. It's just, it's stuff developing out of that. It's not the real stuff, but it's turned into this stuff that we can measure now. And that's not so good. And now we can find this pesticide in our water. Yeah, now we have to close half of our wells and build new. And the water, we still pump it up, because if we don't pump it up, it will suck down to our wealth or deeper wealth. So we actually pump it out and pump it in the sewage. Actually, it's drinking water. So it's terrible to see, because it is so small amounts of poison. No one can see it, no one can measure it, and we are not sure that is actually doing something harmful to people. But we said that we have no limits. We will not have it. Even if we don't know if it is doing something wrong with for people or not, we will just not have it in our water. So I have trying to get out how much 1 gram of this stuff, 1 gram, if we want to find, if it was possible to get this pesticide out of water. Unfortunately, that's not possible. But if we could, actually taking this amount of pesticide out of our stuff, we have to pump 10 million kilo water. That's 10,000 cubic meters. It is the same that 100 families consumption for 1 year in Denmark. Now 10 million kilos, if we put that through a filter, then we could get 1 gram of this stuff. So small, but it is there, and we don't want it there, and that's why we actually detect it. The story here is that, can we actually call this water clean with or without? I can say for sure that for the 24 years I've been involved with this business, we have drink that water, and we didn't knew that time because we didn't measure for it. It's not something new which had come. It has been there for the last 50 years, because where we are getting our water from, nothing new has happened there for the last 30 years. So it must be something that in there and has been there all the time. But it's only because that we have got the new technology that we actually can measure those things. And of course, if you don't measure it, your water is clean. We are actually measuring our water 147 different kinds of pesticides. There was a professor, Mary Douglas. She wrote a book in 1966, Purity and Danger. And I want to quote her: "Where there is dirt, there is a system. Dirt is a byproduct of the systematic ordering and classification of matter, insofar as ordering involves rejecting inappropriate elements." And that was written in 1966. So when we see and look at water, we have also to determine the system which are behind it. And when do we do the right things? The system and the way we look at it is maybe more important than what we actually do with the water. 97% of all Danes receive drinking water from the country's approximately 2,600 general water supplies. Those water supplies are decentralized cooperatives, and those cooperatives is a part of the Danish culture. Actually, cooperative in Denmark has been so established with the way that we actually have our school system and our culture. Many people don't know, but Lenin has actually studying cooperation in Denmark. So we are first movers on that. What we have this cooperative system building on some principles that the largest and the smallest customer has only one vote. A big factory with maybe using 3/3 of our pumping water has one vote, and the little single mom has also one vote. And that is the way the cooperative is built, and it's built up that it's called a non-profit, and it is also almost always run by community with passionate people, and local people they are responsible for our water. The challenge is the way we organize. Some economists, new public management, and all this stuff, they are wondering, so many decentralized water, is that effective? Is it cost effective? Is it sustainable? So now we are actually pressed. We want to make it privatized, and then they want to have it subset for normal competition. because they believe that that will be better. And all the stories we are telling about water, we try to avoid that will happen. But now we see the government trying to put a pressure on us to get more and more units. So therefore, we also try to have colleague and I have made a development for cooperatives. And we start with an idealistic organization, which is 5 people going together and make a cooperative and try to do something good for the society. And then when we get bigger, in 10 to 20 involved, then we get some rules and we get the leaderships and we get rule organization. So we call it the rule controlled organization. And then it gets bigger than 50 involved, then it's mature organization. And then when we get to 20 to 500 involved, we actually are going to be a knowledge organization, a lobby or something. Then we're going to hire professionals because we have to have professional skills into the organization. And when we get in from 100 to 2,000, the professionals, part of it, are getting bigger and bigger and actually getting an organization, hire people in themselves. And then the corporation is a political end to that. And it end up actually that the professional organization take over and the politicals are marginalized, something we just have to have. But actually the professionals can actually run it by themselves. So when I talk about cooperation, we also have to look in a development phase, what kind of cooperation are we actually talking about? And when we're talking about the small one from consuming the water consumption suppliers in Denmark, it is an idealistic organization. And 50% of all those people are not getting any payment, or they just work it for an idealistic. That's difficult. It's very difficult for me to see that it'll be better if we're going to put it into a capitalistic system where people have to get paid for it. Little bit about the company that I am a chairman for. What we have managed to get people very, very in touch with an involvement. Every year we have an open house at the water plant. People can come for 2 hours and drink a lot of beers and eat a lot of sausages, and they actually come. And that's day in summertime. All the people are coming. And, oh, that's our water plant giving beers, and they go down and look at it, and that's fantastic. But it's actually built up in a cooperative for 85 years ago in 1955. And it was a grocer and a blacksmith and a farmer and 2 local people went together and actually started pumping water up and then distributed it to the city. Now, 85 years after, we still have 5 residents running this company. And we are supplying 2,327 households. And we are producing 180,000 cubic meter drinking water per year. It's a small one, but actually there's a lot of people are depending on it. And then we have some pictures where we can show that it is brand new and very modernized and very, very clean. And that is actually something that people see that for the first time. It's actually built down in the underground. And when people come and look at it, say, wow, that's very, very nice. And no one can see that it's run by amateurs. Our general meeting per year, there's more than 200 people every time, and it's a party. People, we play a harmonica and we are singing, and a lot of people coming, and they have a very good day, and we are proud of our water supply. But 2 years ago, we actually put some ultraviolet light system. So if something come up in our water, we can actually put all our water into ultraviolet lights. And then we can virus and microorganize. If we find something out of that, we can go in, turn this on, and then we are for sure that our water is clean. Not from the pesticides, that we cannot remove, but we can remove bacteria and virus and other kind of microorganisms. Yeah, and then also for a couple of years ago, we start to detect our water in a brand new system with electronic measurement system. Every consumer have their own electronics. So if something happened, if a toilet go wrong, if something go wrong, we can see it on our computer and we call the customer and say, there's something wrong with your toilet, your water is running. And that can be done because we have put it in electrical stuff and electronic system for every hour. All our 2,360 customers are sending in measurement to our system for every hour. in the. So that's quite unique, and we can have everything in a very controlled way, of course. But we can actually see what is something wrong in for 1 hour. And then I have some facts about the drinking water in Denmark. 1 liter water, $0.1 US for 1 liter water. Groundwater that we are drinking, and it is oxygenated and then ready to be drunk. The annual consumption per household in Denmark is 84 cubic meters, and that is equivalent to 23,000 gallons, I think. That is 1 year consumption for the family, not one person, a family. The big cities are municipality run, but still it is customer voted into cooperatives, but it is the municipality which are in control of those systems. And they are pumping up half of the water drinking in Denmark, actually, because that is all the big cities. But all the small ones are getting the rest of it. And all those, also the municipalities and the profit, it's all non-profit, consumer-owned waterworks, and it's not allowed to have any kind of profit. They are allowed to put money aside to reinvest and to use things, but that is no one is allowed to earn money out of water in Denmark. I end my interview with this quote from Douglas again. Where there is dirt, there is a system. Dirt is a byproduct of systematic ordering and classification of matter, insofar as ordering involves rejecting inappropriate elements. The typical waterman in Denmark is between 60 and 70, and he's an old man, and that is not so good. It is a challenge in a lot of cooperation in Denmark. It's actually getting old-fashioned some way. It's not sexy, and it is not for young people. And that's also why this storytelling is very important for me. We have to tell a story about this water, and we have to make it more, what shall we say, fancy. Yeah, it is a challenge. What is right here is not necessarily right in other countries. We have this unique assets to groundwater. One of the big pump constructors in Denmark, they have actually traveled around Africa and making water wells. And they find out that the most important thing was actually to establish a cooperative, so the people using this water actually also developed it and maintained it and actually paid for the water. So if they pay a little fee for the water, then and for many years they just put up those water wells, and when they come back 2 years later, they were broke and they didn't work anymore. So what they actually find out that when we set up cooperatives, then they can come back and see they were still pumping water.